Hello everyone and welcome back to the Starting Lineups show. I am your host Andy and we are now on episode 3 of this brand new podcast. And today, a bit like last time, our last episode with Sky was all about our World Cup all-time 11. We're now going to do our all-time best ever non-World Cup winners starting 11. So that's all to come in the episode. And don't forget as well, if you haven't watched that one yet, then do stay tuned for that one, where me and Sky did go through our best ever starting 11 in a World Cup. It was recorded before the World Cup. So just disclaimer, that's why Messi isn't in our starting 11. But you can find out who else is in the starting 11 in that episode. And as you can see, for those watching on YouTube with me today is our guest all the way from Newcastle on the Panthers Magpie channel, Craig, otherwise known as Keg. How are you, mate? Good to have you on.
Yeah, thank you very much, mate. It's a little bit weird not talking Panthers football with you. When you mentioned the podcast there, I was expecting it to say across the pod, but we're on a different channel today. So yeah, it's not often we get to talk about football. I know we did do a Newcastle podcast a couple of years ago, but yeah, me and you usually just talk NFL. But yeah, it's a nice little change. But yeah, it's good, mate. Sorry, I feel underdressed. It's just so hot today. I couldn't be bothered to put a t-shirt on for you. I've got the gun show out today. So yeah, apart from actually, I've got my fan on. If you can hear my fan in the background, just let me know if you want me to turn it down because I've got it on full whack just to try and stay cool. So if it's annoying you, let me know. I hope the view can't hear it either. But yeah, I need it on. Just even if it's on a little bit less, just let me know.
You know what? I wouldn't have ever noticed there was a fan on until you said something. I couldn't hear it at all when you were talking off camera. Didn't hear it at all. So I'm sure it's absolutely fine. And yeah, it does feel weird talking to you not about Panthers. Of course, those who do follow my NFL stuff will know that Keg's been on many times on the podcast. He is my go-to guy when it comes to the Carolina Panthers, which is his team. And of course, you mentioned your vest. I actually wore a vest in my last Across the Pod episode with Sam Moore. So yeah, no problem at all in terms of that. But yeah, we would have been about 2-3 years ago. I had you on for that on a podcast I used to do. So yeah, it's only the second time we've ever podcasted when it comes to English football or European football. So it's a nice change.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it was a Newcastle season preview. Probably it might be 2 or 3 years ago. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was a good while ago. Yeah,
I know we recorded that and the Panthers one in the same. I think the same thing. So you literally went back.
We might have done.
But yeah, this episode is all about ranking our best ever non-World Cup winners. Now, in the World Cup episode, we kind of based it on how they performed in a tournament. This one, I'm leaving a bit more free reign. It can be, players who've not even played in the World Cup. It could be players who've not. Yeah, it's harder to do it based on how they performed. So yeah, we're going to base this on that. And we kind of need to decide on a formation. Now, my original drafted 11 was a 4-3-3. Was yours similar, or did you have a different formation in mind for your players you wanted to try and nominate?
Well, I wasn't too sure, to be honest, so I left it a little bit open to interpretation because, yeah, I know like 4-3-3 kind of is normally like the modern day kind of default formation, if you like. But I'm very old school and I'm still a little bit of a stickler for the old school 4-4-2. I bloody love a 4-4-2. So yeah, I was considering a 4-4-2, but I'm more than happy to go 4-3-3. Either one's fine by me.
Well, let's see how they get on because my goalkeeper and back four I've got kind of set, but then my midfield can be sort of in multiple different dimensions. I've got players who can play multiple positions up front. We can switch around, so we can see how we get on. We may decide 4-4-2 is better or 4-3-3 is better. Starting off with the goalkeeper, I want to put my goalkeeper forward purely because he is the only goalkeeper to ever win the Ballon d'Or. I've gone for Lev Yashin as my nominee. Obviously, way before my time, so I can't sit here and wax lyrical about how he played. But he's seen as one of the best goalkeepers of all time for everything I've read. And as through doing my research, found out that he did win the Ballon d'Or and is the only keeper to date that has done this. So yeah, that is my nominee. Keg, have you got anyone else you wanted to put forward?
I do, yeah, because I'm the same as you. Like, first thought was Lev Yashin. Like, I know he is widely regarded as the greatest goalkeeper of all time, the only goalkeeper to ever win a Ballon d'Or. So I think that's why. But yeah, you're right. I wanted to go with a little bit of a different flavor, just simply because I can't speak too highly of him, because he was like, when did he win the Ballon d'Or? The 50s or earlier, the 40s? I don't even know when it was. It was a long time ago. So I don't even know if I've ever seen any highlights of Lev Yashin. I couldn't tell you how good he was from my own personal research or anything like that. Like, just from reading a couple of stats and hearing how good he is, then that's all the information that I have. So I don't want to kind of be a bit like a sort of a cheat in some ways, and talking about a goalkeeper that, quite frankly, I know nothing of. So I wanted to go with someone a little bit more closer to my era. And there's quite a few. It was quite a difficult choice. I'm going to throw in some nominees in Oliver Kahn, Petr Cech, and Edwin van der Sar. But my choice is a Euros winner from 1992 in Peter Schmeichel.
Ooh, that is good, because I think personally he's the best ever Premier League goalkeeper.
Me too, yeah.
And won a treble with Man U, and obviously was part of a historic Denmark team that won the Euros back in '92, and weren't even didn't even qualify for the tournament. Traditionally, only got in through a war that they kind of benefited from. So yeah, I kind of Khan was one I did think about, but I can't get over the fact that he made a mistake in the final. Even though he was player of the tournament, besides from that game, he was an amazing goalkeeper, both club and country. But that mistake puts me off a little bit. And then Cech, Cech, I from what I've forgotten about. And I did think of one, Alison Becker, especially the modern day kind of players who are playing in this tournament. Because most of the best keepers of all time have won a World Cup. We mentioned it on the last show. Buffon, Casillas, Gordon Banks, Manuel Neuer, even like not the best of all time, but people like Victor Valdez and Pepe Reina won it as backups.
True.
So, most of the best goalkeepers in the world that of all time you can think of have won a World Cup. So it was hard to think of many, but yeah, I think personally, I'm happy to rule out Cech and Khan, and that leaves Schmeichel and Yashin. Now, I am someone who doesn't like to go just based on who I've seen, because I feel personally that rules out the all-time argument. But in this case, I don't mind conceding Peter Schmeichel. I don't mind it, because he was a hell of a goalkeeper, and also he scored goals.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
he scored multiple goals, and I think there's only 6 goalkeepers that have scored a goal in the Premier League history. I think he's the only one to score more than one. I know this is the Premier League. This is obviously World Cup talk, but yeah, I do feel like maybe the Euros thing does give him that advantage, even though Yashin, didn't, all that didn't win the Euros. I just think maybe the fact that he was part of a team that shocked the world in the Euros and won the tournament, and then what he's done for Man U as well. I'm happy for him to be in this. If I'm honest, I'm happy to have him in.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a flip of a coin for me. Like I say, I'm quite happy to concede to Yashin, obviously knowing what he'd done in the past. Like we've both said, neither one of us were able to watch him. We don't know a whole lot about him. Like you say, you can't rule out history, because that rules out a bunch of legends from 60s, 70s, 80s. Obviously, we're both 90s babies. So yeah, the 80s was even before our time. So some people in their prime, like Gazas and Maradonas and people like that, were a bit before our times. Like George Best and people like that. So you can't rule these people out. So I 100% agree with you there. So Yashin is by far a strong contender. But I like what you said. Peter Schmeichel is also my favorite all-time Premier League goalkeeper. And there are some legends you can throw in, like Edersons, Alissons, Van der Sar, Cech, David De Gea, David Seaman. He's one that never won a World Cup. But yeah, I wouldn't really put Seaman into that category. Obviously, can't rule out Shea Given, obviously, one of the other Premier League goaltenders. But yeah, Peter Schmeichel would get my vote.
Absolutely, and based on, you mentioned favourite all-time goalkeepers, I'm still, based on the last episode, still searching for an Iker Casillas Spain jersey, because that is my favourite goalkeeper of all time.
I love Casillas.
If someone can find me in the comments an Iker Casillas Spain jersey, not as much Madrid, but I'm not against having a Madrid jersey with Casillas on the back. But certainly, if you can find me a Spain jersey, particularly the one in Euro 2008, that's a hell of a goalkeeper kit.
Mm.
If you can find me that, anyone in the comments, and it's a real legit jersey, not a fake one from DHgate, then please let me know, because that is something I would love to have. And I feel like I've seen someone walk around before with a Manuel Neuer jersey, and I thought that's really cool. He's wearing a goalkeeper shirt out and about, and
I've got a little story for you there, actually. Something that I thought was quite cool, talking about like people that were like before our times. I had my son out to like a trampoline park on Sunday, and there was a kid there. Must have been a bit older than mine. He was like 12, maybe, or probably around about the 11, 12, 13 mark. And there was a kid there running around in a 2006 Italy Buffon goalkeeper jersey. I was like, wow, that's amazing, because that shirt is probably about 13 years older than this kid, if not more. I was like, where have you got that from? That must be your dad's or something. But like for like a shirt so old with Buffon on the back, I don't think I've ever seen one of them in my life. And to see like a little kid wearing it, I was like, you're a cool kid. That's awesome.
Yeah, because you see, like, the classic one I saw even this week in Paris was the classic 98 Zidane jersey. You see that everywhere. You see there's certain ones you see all the time. But I've never seen a retro Buffon jersey, or even just when he was playing. Never saw anyone wearing a Buffon jersey. And he's seen as one of the best keepers of all time. So that's mad. And actually, on that note, I don't know whether you remember this player. I remember once, I'm guessing it's because he had the same surname and he's a Man U fan. I was on a train once, can't remember where to. I saw a kid, must be 9 or 10, wearing a Man U Ben Amos goalkeeper jersey with like number 40 on the back, I think it was. That was the maddest thing. He must be an Amos. He must have been. I can't think, unless his dad was Ben Amos and he was
maybe a relative or something like that,
yeah.
Like his uncle or something, yeah.
I've not seen a more random jersey ever than that. It was
pretty weird, yeah.
Caught me off guard. So we got Peter Michael locked in for our goalkeeper. Let's head to right back. Now, this could be unanimous, I think. I'll let you go first this time, Keg. Who have you got as your right back nominee?
So my right back nominee is Dani Alves. He won pretty much everything in his career. Like wherever he went, he tried out a couple of leagues, played for PSG for a little while, didn't he? Obviously, most notably in Barcelona, in Brazil. Played all over the place. Won pretty much everything that is possibly to win. Champions Leagues, multiple of them. But yeah, never got that World Cup with Brazil. So like first, is he not one of the most decorated players in world football? I'm sure I seen that stat a while ago after he won something at like 39, 40 years old. Like someone put up like the number of trophies that he's won in his career. And like I think he is, if not he's one of the most decorated players in the history of football. But yeah, never got that World Cup.
Yeah, that was my thinking as well. Now I actually looked up in terms of right backs. He is the most decorated right back of all time with 43 major trophies. So I'm going to quickly look up players, because there must be someone in like some like random league, or I don't know. Footballer.
I think my backup option was going to be Gary Neville, but other than that, that's about it. And you can throw in like Kyle Walker or whoever else as well. But yeah, Gary Neville's my number 2 option behind Dani Alves if there was going to be an alternative.
Yeah. I mean, never. I've not thought of that. I mean, Dani Alves for me, people like to put him as the best right back of all time. I personally would have Cafu Ulam over him. But you can't argue with what he's won. I mean, we mentioned there the amount of trophies he's won. Part of the best team of all time, certainly at club level.
And both of those have won a World Cup as well, Cafu and Lam.
Yeah, that is true. They were actually in our starting 11 for our team. But looking at the research, he is actually the most. Yeah, I think he's. I think looking at this, I think he might be second behind Messi. This is obviously down to this is an IMDb page. I don't know how reliable. It's saying Messi has 46, and he'll probably have 47 when the referees rigged the World Cup in his favour. So it's. But either way, I mean, you can't argue with his career, and kind of unfortunate for the timing he was. I mean, the Brazil team just continued just to underwhelm in tournaments. With early exit this time round, every tournament they're sort of expected to go far. And he
did play for PSG, didn't he? Have I made that up?
No, he did. Yeah, I think
I thought he did. Yeah, when I said that, I was thinking, did he? I'm not sure if I was right or not.
I don't know whether he was. I don't know
I'm
whether he
sure
was
he did.
part of the Messi, Neymar, Mbappe. I don't know whether he was part of that, but certainly I think he played with Neymar. But whether he
Yeah,
played with Messi, I don't know.
yeah, I'm sure he
But
did for a couple of years. Yeah.
yeah, probably did. And I mean, that team, insane how they never won anything until those players left. But no, I think Dani Alves is a by far an honourable, easy selection in this team. And actually, while we're here, we mentioned it on the last episode, kind of about our first World Cup memories. Both me and Sky said 2002. Well, I think Sky might have said 98. What was your first World Cup you remember watching as a kid?
I don't really remember a lot of it, but I do remember bits of 98. So yeah, 2002 was the first one that I remember. But I do remember small parts of World Cup 98. I vaguely, very, very vaguely remember Michael Owen's goal against Argentina and then David Beckham's red card. But I also remember the cup final because I mean, what was I, about 6, if that? Yeah, 5 or 6 at the time. And I remember wanting to watch it, but it was quite late. I don't know what time the kickoff was, but obviously past my bedtime as a child. But I think my mom was out and my dad had the house, and I was trying to like get myself downstairs. I remember sneaking downstairs and watching it through the crack in the door, and then until someone came out and found me, told me to get back to bed. So yeah, I was like, it's the World Cup final, man. I want to watch the World Cup. So yeah, I remember trying to watch the World Cup final, but yeah, it was past my bedtime and I wasn't allowed. So I've got those very, very, very vague memories. But yeah, 2002, I was old enough to appreciate it more.
I'm so glad that my parents, because normally when I was a kid, I always, not weekends obviously, but when you watch Champions League on ITV in midweek, back when it was on ITV, I remember I was always allowed to watch the first half, and then second half I was always told to go to bed. I remember I'm so glad my parents told me to stay awake for the Champions League final 2005, even though it was a Wednesday back then, which sounds crazy now when you think about it. But I remember they wanted to teach me how to accept losing, so I stayed up for it. I think genuinely, if I'd gone to bed at half time, I don't know whether I could have forgiven him. If I'm honest,
Yeah.
I think that
History.
I'm so glad they let me stay up. But seeing actually this week the school, I remember watching the news on Monday morning, and they were showing the primary school, because I, like some people, watched the rerun of England Mexico on Monday, the spoiler free on 7 in the morning. I didn't stay up till 2 a.m. to watch that. Because I was, I can't do late night, so I stayed up in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning alarm, watched it. And I remember the BBC was showing the school, a random school in the UK were watching it live, not knowing the school, and they kind of filmed their reaction to it live. And it reminds me of that 2002 tournament where I think a lot of schools did it, and I don't know why, because I was in a Welsh school. They let us watch England Brazil in the school assembly hall. And I have no idea why my school allowed that, because even though it's the most English town of all the Welsh towns, literally 5 minutes from the border, I still don't know why they let us show that game. But but I think a lot of people of our era did watch that England Brazil game on an assembly hall projector. I don't know whether you did in your school. You had the projector.
Yeah, well, I've got very bitter memories of that, because I remember being at school, and I was in year 5 at the time, so I would have been 9 to 10, and I remember my class was split into 3, so it was 3 year 5 classes, and the other 2 got to actually no, maybe only been 1. Yeah, one of our classes got to watch it and not mine. So in our classroom, backed onto the other one, there was a door connecting the 2 classes. And I remember just being absolutely furious that I couldn't watch the game, but one of the other classes did. I was like, how was that fair? So yeah, I just remember being absolutely seething that I couldn't watch the game. But I don't know. I feel like I might have this wrong. I can't remember what day or time the England Brazil game was, but I feel like I remember watching it. But obviously, I couldn't have if it was during the day. If it was school hours, I mustn't have. But yeah, I've got memories of watching it, but at home. But clearly, it must have been a replay or when I got back from school or something. I can't remember that. But yeah, I remember watching Owen opening the scoring, and obviously Ronaldinho's free kick at the end. Yeah, I must have me facts mixed up there.
How big was your school to have? Because we had 20 people in our year at school in primary. 3 different classes. So how big was your primary school?
Well, pretty big, but yeah. So this was like middle school. So we had the 3 tiers up in the northeast. So yeah, so this was like the first year of middle school. We had year 5, 6, 7, and 8. But yeah, each of my middle school years were split into 3, and there was probably about 20 kids in each class. So yeah, it was pretty big classes when you think about it. I never really thought about it. To be fair, it was just normal to me growing up. I never asked any questions. But yeah, looking back on it, yeah, I suppose it's a pretty big school, really.
Fair enough. Well, let's move on to our centre backs now. I'm going to let us each give one nominee for that. Now, I'll let you go first, Keg, because I've got one that might be a little bit controversial, might not. Depends on your view of this player. One might be a unanimous decision. But who would you like to nominate for the first centre back role in this team?
So I'm looking at my options, and to be fair, I haven't really locked any of mine in. Like I'm just kind of winging it a little bit. I've got a bunch of options written out. So if we're gonna go right side, left side, I've got a left-sided option. Me right side, I'm still undetermined with. I'll let you go first on that one. But I've got a left-sided centre back who is commonly regarded as a left back. I know he's quite versatile. He played a lot of centre back. I remember him better as a centre back, so I often see him listed as a left back in like all time 11s and stuff. But I always disagree with him being a left back. I think he's a left sided centre back, and that for me is Paolo Maldini.
Yeah, he was one of mine. I mean, both my nominees are left sided centre backs. But I think I can get my other guy in and still have my right centre back. But yeah, Maldini was. I think he's the best defender of all time. I think it's potentially him and Beckenbauer, but I think even then, I think Maldini was, certainly in my lifetime, since, I know when I first watched football, he was sort of past his best, but, technically since I've been alive, he has been the best defender in world football. And fun fact, I don't know whether listeners will know this, he was actually meant to be going to the 2006 World Cup, the one that Italy won, but he got injured and was replaced by Fabio Grosso, or was it Materazzi? Either one of those two replaced him in the squad. I think it was Grosso, and obviously Grosso goes on and scores the winning penalty, scores the goal against Germany in the semi-final, the goal that put them 1-0 up in that extra time period. So yeah, Maldini is an easy choice. Not even just what he's done with his club level. I think he reached a final Euro 2000 with Italy as well. Fantastic defender. And yeah, he is a lock for me. But my other centre back, now, this one, I don't know whether people are going to hate this and people are going to say, oh my God, Andy, you're saying him, you're so biased. Virgil van Dijk.
I knew him, no.
Like, he was 7 votes off Ballon d'Or in 2019, and not many defenders can say they've done that. By far the best defender of the last 5 years in the Premier League, 10 years. You could argue maybe even world football. But yeah, I think, and also I think there's a lot of centre backs in world football that have won World Cups. It was I also picked them mainly due to striking for other people to pick. Beckenbauer's won one. Obviously, John Terry, you could easily John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, you could put in that nominee bracket. But so, even though I think he was sometimes a liability with red cards, you can't argue with his goals in big games. Sergio Ramos has won a World Cup. Cannavaro's won a World Cup. Desai's won a World Cup. So I was struggling to find other people, but also I want to put Van Dijk in because he is just. And I mean, people are going to say, "Oh my God, he didn't play against the best strikers, but he still played against Lewandowski, Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, Ronaldo, Haaland." And I think Haaland called him his toughest opponent. Champions League winner, 2-time Premier League winner. I said before, 7 marks off Ballon d'Or, 1 FIFA Best Player in that same year. In his prime, I don't think there was many defenders better than, because in his prime, especially that Champions League winning season, Premier League season before the ACL injury against Everton, you couldn't get past him. You literally couldn't get past him. Other teams would target constantly the other centre back we had playing for that reason of how good he was. There was some stat going around, don't know how legit it is, saying that he never got dribbled past for a good amount of time. I just think he is an absolute beast. Good in the air, strong, passing range is great, comes up with goals. There's not really a lot that he can't do. He may not be the same player he was now, but most centre backs at his age weren't doing what he's doing. I mean, John Terry was getting past it. Rio was playing for QPR. So not many defenders can still play to a good level, which he was 2 years ago when he won the league. So yeah, Van Dijk is my next nominee. What are your thoughts on that, Keg?
I mean, it's fair. Yeah, wouldn't be my flavor, but yeah, I don't like him. Just to say, like, not that I don't respect him, not that I don't think he's a good centre back. Just personally, I don't like the fella. But yeah, I can't deny he's a great centre back, and yeah, it's a good shout. To be fair, I didn't note him down, and I probably should have. Yeah, he's definitely a solid candidate, and you can put him in there certainly. I do have a few other alternatives, but I think we will go with Van Dijk. That there is one that I actually wanted to fact check with Maldini. To be fair, it was the Maldini one that I wanted to fact check because alongside him for a long time he played with Alessandro Nesta. So I wasn't sure if Maldini didn't win the 2006 World Cup and Nesta did. I wasn't too sure on that, but I'm assuming that they did. Yeah, like I say, Maldini didn't end up going in the end. He got replaced, and I'm assuming that Nesta was in that squad. I can't really remember. But yeah, my backup options, I've got Ronald Koeman. Koeman was great in his day, as well as a few of his Dutch buddies like Van Dijk. Ronald and Frank de Boer, they were up there. You got Nemanja Vidic, Vincent Kompany, English ones, Tony Adams, Sol Campbell, John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Jaap Stam, and obviously Big Dan Burn.
Dan Burn. I mean, that performance against Mexico, in terms of substitute appearances, that is up there with one of the best. I think there's like a record for most headed clearances for any World Cup game for a substitute. I think that's the stat of that Mexico game. Is incredible performance, and he was the kind of the perfect guy to sort of withstand that sort of aerial threat at the end for Mexico. And yeah, Nesta was part of that team. I think it's him and Cannavaro was part of the back four. But no, I think I mean, Koeman is a great shout. I will say Koeman's a great shout. But I've got to get Van Dijk in somewhere. I mean, I will say he was probably the reason why Morocco scored that goal. He was probably the one at fault for that equaliser at the end. But no, he's for his whole career, I can't dispute it. And I think the left back might also be a bit of a non-negotiable. I mean, Ashley Cole is the one I've kind of put down. Yeah. I think he's the best left back of all time because Maldini, you could put centre back or left back. So I think if you want, I always think in my all-time World 11, I'd have like Beckenbauer, Maldini, and Ashley Cole as part of my back four, and then right back you can have Lahm or Cafu or even someone like Carlos Alberto. But yeah, no, I think Ashley Cole for me. And even this is not World Cup, but Euros. Remember 2004, he sort of was brilliant in that tournament. Ronaldo called him his toughest opponent, and kind of through all England's shortcomings in tournaments, he was always consistent. I don't remember any, even in his career, maybe apart from towards the end. Even then, I don't recall many mistakes from him. I don't recall. You think about, I've seen Rio Ferdinand back pass. I've seen John Terry slip. I've seen Van Dijk make mistakes. I've seen even just not even defenders, outfield players make mistakes. I mean, the Gerrard slip is one that everyone talks about. Yeah. I've seen Zidane headbutt someone. But I can't recall Ashley Cole making a mistake. I'm probably having nostalgia here taking over my head. I just can't remember.
Not on the field, at least, anyway.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean...
he made lots of mistakes, but as a footballer, yeah, he was pretty savvy.
Actually, before we carry on, what's the beef with Van Dijk? What's your reasoning for not liking him? I want to know this.
Probably because he's good. Like nothing that he's done, nothing personal. Yeah, just when you go up against teams like Liverpool, and he does well, he scores goals and he defends well. You just tend to have a disliking of players that are better than the players on your team. That's pretty much it. Like, yeah, nothing personal. I think he comes across as a bit of a dick sometimes as well. But yeah, again, it's just more kind of like jealous hate. It's not like it's nothing personal. It's more just jealousy than anything.
I'm guessing it's not as much as Alexander Isak.
Ah, yeah, that little rat. Yeah, you can keep him.
Yeah, well, actually, what are your thoughts on that? Because he, I think he'll come good, but I do worry as well that he's not going to come good. It'll be a bit like a Torres effect. Also, for you, having him being the player was at Newcastle, amazing. I loved watching him at Newcastle. but obviously he hasn't performed at Liverpool yet. What's your take been on that? The fact that it has been, all the drama he made, all the fuss he made about leaving, and then he finally leaves and plays that badly and has the injury problems. What's it been like for Newcastle fans seeing him? Because I remember when Torres left, we were all like, "Oh my god, he's such a rat, he's leaving." But then after a while, we felt a bit sorry for him, and then the love kind of came back for him. Is there any part of you that feels sorry for him, or are you still very much happy that he's not had the best first year?
Yeah, no, I don't feel the slightest bit of remorse or sort of sorry for him at all. No, yeah, I'm happy that he's spoiling it, but I do think he will come good. Like I say, we've seen it for a long time. Like we know how good he can be, and he scored a couple of goals for Sweden as well. Like he's coming back. He just needs to stay fit, and that was the one thing that we kind of felt like the money that we got for him, it was kind of like a good luck, like because he's had the injury troubles, and the thing when he was at Newcastle is that his backup was Callum Wilson, whose legs are made of Pringles. Like the pair of them, they were just both injury prone. They were just coming in and out of the team one at a time, and you never really had a true backup because one of them was always injured at one respective time, or one of them was having to play injured because the other one was injured. So yeah, he's had this history, and I think Liverpool probably needed to do a little bit of better research or understand that is a strong possibility. Obviously, what happened to him was unforeseen, really. Like, you can't really anticipate exactly what happened when he was on the field. He wasn't quite up to it, probably because he didn't have a pre-season. Exactly on the flip side as Johan Wissa, coming to us, kind of done the exact same thing with Brentford, and look at the season he had. So, yeah, it is kind of his own fault, and we are very much like, ha, look at you. You wanted this. Look what happens. And so, yeah, we don't feel any remorse for him. Like, it's just the way that he carried himself. Like, some people, you've got to go about it respectively. Like, Bruno Guimaraes recently said he wanted to leave, and that's fine if that is true. The likes of Sandro Tonali and Anthony Gordon, they've all left respectfully, and they've all gone on to bigger and better things, and you can respect that, of course. And I respect Isak for wanting to go to Liverpool, or at least understand his reasons for it. But the way that he went about it is just completely wrong, and there's just no coming back from it. He could have been a club legend. If Bruno leaves, he'll be a club legend. We'll always respect Gordon and Tonali, but the way that he carried himself in that in the off season, I've just got absolutely no love, care, or respect for the bloke. And whatever happens negatively in his career for the day that he retires, nobody cares anymore. He's completely tarnished his legacy at Newcastle.
The thing for me as well is that we pride ourselves in the Klopp era of buying the right players. Not, every year we were saying, "Oh, if Klopp had Pep's money, we could have potentially won more league titles." There's always that narrative, but even that aside, we always kind of made sure we did our due diligence on player. I mean, all the players we brought in were great characters. You think about Mane, Salah, Firmino, Alisson, Fabinho, all these great players. Van Dijk, that are great on the field. They're also great off the field, and there's a reason why Milner and Henderson kept playing despite not having the same maybe ability as the likes of players we brought in. But I think for me, it's the whole thing with Richard Hughes that I'm kind of got annoyed about, because we've gone completely away from our strategy. And I get it, we won the league, we wanted to build on that, and no one was saying at the time this is a bad move. But the kind of my thinking was, we already had Ekitike firing at this point. It wasn't like we bought him in June or May. We bought him, or I think deadline day, and Ekitike had started well, and we weren't playing I felt we were playing 4-3-3, and for him, the way he was acting, that should have been a red flag for me personally.
Yeah,
now,
definitely. 100%.
He's called for trouble since. He may be absolutely fine. Van Dijk handed in a transfer request at Southampton, but for me, it's just when you see a guy acting that way, I just don't know why. I'm surprised he went for him, and this is again my problem with Richard Hughes. That why are you going away from what we've done all the years that got us that success? I mean, we bought no one really and won the league the year before.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
those times we won the league, we bought barely anyone. So yeah, that for me was my biggest gripe, was that we were kind of selling a guy when you only pay one up front. We already spent, 80 mil, 60, 70 mil, whatever it was on Ekitike. A lot of money on him.
I think it's about 80, it's about 86 or something, because we had the deal done first, like it was hijacked. Yeah. So we were in that same situation where we could have had both Ekitike and Isak, and then they both ended up at Liverpool. And it even, like back then when we thought we were going to have them both, it did kind of feel like they're very similar. Like, I don't really know why Liverpool... I think Liverpool got them because they could. Like, they wanted Isak, they had Ekitike as a backup if it didn't work. But I think it was a little bit of greed in getting both just because they could. And I think in the next probably 2, maybe 3 years, one of them won't be there because I don't think two players can coexist when there's someone so similar. Like, if it's like a little and large or a fast and slow where they're different and they can complement each other, that's fine. But I think when two people are so similar, it just doesn't work. And I think one of them will get frustrated and want to leave, probably Isak because he's a little rat. But yeah, one of them won't survive at Liverpool in the long term because they'll both get frustrated with each other.
Yeah, it just reminds me a bit of the when City had Haaland and Alvarez. Obviously, they are different strikers, but they were just both too good to not be one of like Alvarez was too good to not be playing week in week out. And the 4-4-2 is coming back a little bit. The World Cup we've seen a few teams playing with two up front, and maybe there's a world where Iriola does play with two up front, but I don't think he will. No. I think, I don't know. The Ekitike has been good, but he's not been like he's been hit and miss, very purple patchy. He went 2 months without a goal, so he's not been.
He started really well, yeah.
Then of course now he's out for potentially 9 months of the season.
I forgot he got that injury.
This is Isak's chance to stake his claim and be that.
Stay fit. That's it.
Big question. Any qualms about Cole at left back? Was there anyone else you had kind of mulling over, or was Ashley Cole your kind of left back thought?
Yeah, he was, and that's sort of tactically why I wanted to get Maldini in at centre back, because he's the only other one. Like I say, like a lot of people will have Maldini as the greatest all-time left back, but for me, I would prefer him as a centre back, and at least that way you can get Ashley Cole in as well, so you can have both of them instead of missing one out. So yeah, it's Ashley Cole for me. Other options, the only really ones, Marcelo, and the only other left back I could really think of was Patrice Evra. But yeah, it's Ashley Cole all day long for me.
Great. We'll move on to the midfield. Now, yours is more 4-4-2, mine's 4-3-3. So we'll try and get maybe two midfielders in now, and we'll try and see how the land lies in terms of whether we want to go 4-4-2 or whether we want to go 4-3-3. And yeah, I think one guy I wanted to get in regardless in my midfield in the attacking sense is Johan Cruyff. I feel like he is someone that I think you could make an argument that he is one of the two best players to not win the World Cup in history. Now, there's one guy we'll probably mention later on that is, they've all not won a World Cup. What am I talking about? But no, I think there's two that are probably seen as the best two to not do it. But I think Cruyff for me has to be in. He's the only guy we almost put in to our all-time World Cup 11 who hadn't won the World Cup. You think about the Cruyff turn, the iconic moment, that happened in, I think it was 74, part of the great Netherlands team, the best team as well, never to win the World Cup, that Netherlands team, with Van Basten and all the like. I feel like, for me, he is, I kind of think I have my 6 best players of all time. I think about Messi, Maradona, Pele, Ronaldo, whatever order you want is fine. And then I kind of have Zidane and Cruyff next down in that in that first 6. So for me, I feel like he is a must. And you can play up front from doing my research, but mainly as an attacking mid. I feel like he has to be personally for me in this team somewhere.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I don't know where, but yeah, he is one of the all-time greats. Like this is why it was so hard. This is why I didn't really want to stick to a formation, because I've wrote out a list of both midfielders and attackers. Like I think the defense and goalkeeper was easy. Like now it's getting hard. Like again, depends on the formation, who plays where. Some people are quite versatile, so they just stick them in and try and work around it. But there's so many. Like my list of attackers and strikers is so long. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I don't know where to put people in and at what formation. If you were going to go with a 4-3-3, what kind of 4-3-3? Would you have one holder, one like number 10? Or what would you do?
Yeah, because I've got sort of 5 centre midfielders I've got down here. And I want to have balance. I don't want to have just 3 attacking. Yeah. I want to have that balance. So I've got the holding midfielder, but then there's players. There's one player you could put holding, kind of is more of a central rather than he's not really an attacking or defensive midfielder. So yeah, I could put him holding mid. But then the guy I've got holding mid has a great strong case to be that. And then I've got two other midfielders who are mainly attacking. So I kind of I wanted to try and have a bit of balance, but also then I've got right winger and left winger, but then I could also have two strikers. So it's very much up for debate, and the striker could be left wing as well. So, or even right wing, to be fair. So it's very tough to decide. And I kind of maybe I'll let you pick one midfielder. Kind of who you name one midfielder you wanna try and put in regardless. We'll try and see what we can work with.
See, this is probably a bit more favoritism than like genuinely believing that he probably should go in. Like my all-time hero growing up was David Beckham. So I would love to put David Beckham in there, but there is just so many. Like I say, I've got a very long list. You've got all of like the England centre mids, all the ones like that will argue who's the best centre mid in the Premier League. Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, all of them are in there. None of them won a World Cup. You can go even back to Man United's team of Ryan Giggs, Roy Keane, and then there's just so many others. Javier Zanetti, Riquelme, Michel Platini, Zico, Eusebio, like going back a little bit old school, Gaza. And then there's more, Figo, Modric, Ruud Gullit, Michael Ballack, Socrates, Javier Mascherano. The list goes on. Like, how do you pick? I don't know who to pick.
Yeah, that is tough because I mean, Makelele is one I thought about purely for the holding role because all the ones you mentioned there, I've thought about a lot of them. Not really many of them are holding, apart from I've not thought of Roy Keane. To be fair, Roy Keane you could put in there. Makelele was my sort of holding nominee I wanted to put forward.
But then I never put Makelele actually. Yeah, that's a good shout. I don't know why I didn't have Makelele in there.
I mean, any of that England team, the golden generation, you could easily have as the starting 11.
Yeah,
I mean, one guy you not mentioned actually, Sol Campbell, John Terry, obviously, and that midfield. Goodness gracious me, that maybe we go attack and try and go back because I feel like there's a couple of names, or at least one name we kind of have to put in. He's playing in this World Cup just gone. I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo, I feel like you have to put his
he's got to go in there somewhere. 100%.
Then he can go striker, he can go, left wing,
wide forward,
and then mentioned Beckham at right wing. I mean, I had this whole time my mind was thinking Gareth Bale for right wing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but then I was on the plane this morning coming back from Paris, and I watched a documentary on BBC about how the US changed soccer. And
I haven't seen that.
It mentioned George Best.
Yeah,
and
George Best. Yeah,
they were talking about how that was the original Messi Ronaldo was George Best and Pele. So then with George Best, I have some discomfort the fact that he retired so young, or at least and his career was over in his peak so young. So that's my thing with Hazard actually as well. But George Best probably should be in this team, but also Gareth Bale was so good.
Yeah.
And obviously
George Best's like cut from the same cloth as like Gaza. Like both of them just enjoyed the high life a little bit too much, and it affected their careers later on. Like they were at the absolute peaks in like that early mid-20s, and then after that, like they just didn't have a very long, successful careers after that because the lifestyle got the better of them a little bit too much and ended up finishing their careers too soon.
Yeah, and it's a shame. It's a shame, and the players as well, like Dele Alli, had the career cut short. Since I joined the High Life, it hasn't had any downfall yet. Jack Grealish, obviously he's kind of drawn comparisons to Gaza, but he seems to be a bit more on it in terms of. I think he seems to have stopped that a little bit more. Obviously, Everton were winning trophies. That obviously helps you. You're not going out and celebrating trophies like he was at City. But yeah, there's so many players. There are so many players on this list. I mean, Modric is one I really considered. He was one I thought I could put holding mid instead of Makelele. Ballon d'Or winner, reached a final, had multiple games where he was so influential for that Croatia team that surprised year after year. Giggs never even played in the World Cup.
Crazy.
Roy Keane famously didn't play in one World Cup. And then, like Ballack, famously lost Champions League title and World Cup in the same year.
Wow.
Gerrard scores, Lampard is that old debate. Zico is
I've
one I
got one
thought
more
about as
name
well.
actually that I didn't mention, who I believe is actually also a World Cup, a Euros winner. I think I want to say from about 1990s, Stoichkov.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he played on the left, and he was like a left winger. Bulgarian won the Euro. I don't know what year he won the Ballon d'Or. I think it was like early 90s, 1991, something like that. But yeah, Stoichkov on the left wing.
Yeah, left wing. I mean, that's the thing. Like the guy I thought of up front was Van Basten. So I thought then if I get him in, I could put Ronaldo left wing. But then also there's the Stoichkov factor. There's Giggs. It's really tough. I think you said it right. Way more tougher than it is defense and goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So I think Ronaldo and Cruyff are two locked in, aren't they? They are two locked in. The rest is really up for grabs.
But is Ronaldo in the midfield in a 4-4-2, or are you going to put him up front in a 4-3-3?
Yeah. I feel like I want to put Ronaldo in the attack, and I feel like either left wing or striker. I'm entirely up for happy to have either up front or left wing.
So the way I see it, we'll go with a 4-3-3. Get Cruyff in there as like your attacker, like either a number 10 or like a number 8 or something like that. And I think that's too many good strikers. So I would put Ronaldo on either wing as like a right or left forward. Pick another winger and a striker, and then get two more centre mids in there.
Yeah, I feel like it is for me personally either Best, Bale, or Beckham for that right wing. I can't think of anyone else. Obviously, there's Mo Salah as well. There's Mo Salah.
Salah's a good shout, actually.
Yeah, Salah. But I think as much as I love the guy, and I do think this part gets so over criticized. People say, "Oh, he wasn't as good a footballer as his players," and I think he was still ahead of a footballer. If you see, especially his early stage of Liverpool, how good he was. But I can't deny how good Best and Bale were as footballers. Yeah. So, like, I feel like I'm happy to sacrifice Mo Salah, and also I didn't think of him until now. And obviously, from a personal point of view, I'd love to get Bale in there from what I'm wearing and where I live and where I'm from. But also, George Best was bloody good. So that's
actually just making things a little bit more difficult. Just to add in another name that I've completely forgot about, haven't got him in, is De Bruyne.
De Bruyne. Oh my God, yes, De Bruyne. One of the best midfielders of all time in the Premier League. Oh my God. Why couldn't Spain have not won the World Cup? That would make life so much easier. You could have Xavi, Iniesta.
Xavi, Iniesta, that'll do.
That's right. So do we try and get a holding mid in? Do we try and get Keane or Makelele just to try and balance the team out? Or maybe even Modric a holding? Do we try and do that?
That's a shout, yeah. Could do Modric. Keane for his leadership abilities. Obviously, he was a great captain, one of the Premier League's all-time great captains. I think Makelele was just a different gravy, and he didn't win '98, did he? He was too young for that. Yeah, he wasn't in the '98 squad.
He was in the 06 squad. He was in the one that lost to Italy. Yeah. I will say, I feel like Makelele was maybe great at what he did, great holding mid, but I feel like the likes of we got Rodri as well, of course, Rodri. Likes of Rodri, Keane, obviously Kante's one, but these players I feel like did more going forward than Makelele. Keane was as good defensively as Makelele, but way more better going forward. I mean, the Juve performance alone in '99 is one of the best, I think, ever performances from a player. Unbelievable. So I think we could put Keane in. I'm happy to have Keane over Makelele because I think he'd be a great leader. Obviously, maybe I wouldn't have Mick McCarthy as manager in his team, but then that means we got Keane and Cruyff. We've got to get one more midfielder. Now, we could go Zico and go attacking. We can go Platini.
Yeah, Platini's a great shout. Platini was one of the best of his era. So is Eusebio.
Yeah.
Socrates.
Yeah. And then, obviously, my favourite player of all time is Gerrard. I'd love to try and get him in. Then there's also, it's.
I would be mad at a little bit of English bias and we'll try and pick between Lampard, Gerrard, and Scholes. Like I'm not mad at Gerrard. I'm not mad at Gerrard at all. But yeah, like I said, there's Modric, De Bruyne, Ruud Gullit. If Ruud Huller didn't win one, did that mean Frank Rijkaard didn't win one? Because they were from about the same era, weren't they? Or did Rijkaard win one early 80s? Not sure.
Best mates was Rudy Voller. I can't. I will say I love Gerald. He's my favourite player of all time.
Yeah.
But I do think Modric and De Bruyne are better. No, actually, not De Bruyne. I think Gerald's the best midfielder of all time. In the Premier League, that is, in my opinion. That is probably extreme bias. So maybe purely for what he's done in the World Cup, maybe we put Modric in, just because of the fact he's got to a World Cup final, World Cup semi 4 years later, Ballon d'Or, multiple Champions Leagues for Madrid.
That's a shout, to be fair. Yeah, lots of Champions Leagues and a Ballon d'Or. None of the English midfielders ever won a Ballon d'Or. And you're right that he got to a Champions League final under was it World Cup '98, wasn't it? 2018, sorry,
yeah,
England.
Yeah.
And under no disrespect, but like Croatia aren't a great nation really, although they're a pretty average team. They had some good players at the time, like Mandzukic and whatnot. But yeah, like Modric kind of carried them. He carried a pretty average footballing nation to a World Cup final and won a Ballon d'Or. Not many of the other players on this list can say that. So yeah, Modric is a pretty good shout. Like I'm happy to go with that.
I tell you what, though, Perisic in major tournaments, whether it's Euros or World Cups, Perisic, I think he is. He's a player you want on your team. It's not like Müller. He's not the most technically gifted player, but he just has his knack to turn up in these big moments. I think Perisic has been for Croatia such a great player. So we've got our midfield and back four. We've got one of our strikers. It leaves either right wing and striker or right wing and left wing to pick from.
Go over the midfield again. What did we say? We've got Roy Keane,
Modric
and Cruyff. All right, okay.
I think it's quite balanced. You've got the defensiveness of Keane, you've got the creativity of Cruyff, then you've got Modric just doing things in the middle. That does leave the attack.
Yeah, this is hard. So definitely got Ronaldo on one side. I think Bale is a brilliant shout, to be fair. I'm looking at my list of options, and I'm quite happy to have maybe Ronaldo on the left and Bale on the right. Like I do think Bale was just a different level. I just think his rise from a potential left back at Southampton, and then just kind of progressively moved. Like when he went to Tottenham, he was quite cheap, but didn't really hit the ground running. I remember there was been a link with Birmingham? I think Birmingham tried to sign him because like he wasn't hitting it at Tottenham. He was a little bit of a flop to begin with. Then got his moment, then moved him a bit more forward, started on the left wing, then had that game against Inter Milan, and then that changed in the Champions League, and that changed absolutely everything. Then switched him over onto the right wing, and then just his ability to just cut in, score from anywhere on the field on the right wing was just absolutely incredible. And then warranted a world record transfer fee at the time that he went to Real Madrid as well. So yeah, Gareth Bale's a phenomenal shout. Absolutely incredible football player.
Yeah, I mean, I remember for my brother's birthday, he went to watch Wales against Slovakia. I want to say it was 2007. I think it was Euro 2008 qualifying game. We lost 5-1, but Bale scored this free kick. He was young at the time. He was this young upcoming thing at Southampton, and we thought this guy looks amazing. But I don't think any of us would have expected what he's done, not just at club level, but also internationally. I mean, what he's done for Wales. I mean, from getting us to our first tournament in 50 years in the Euros, what he did in that tournament and what the whole country did in that tournament. And
was it 2016? Did you get to the semi-final in 2016?
Yeah,
wow.
10 years ago. I think this week it was the loss to Portugal in the semi-final, which still haunts me to this day. But
putting a country on your back though. Like again, like I think Wales, that was a little bit of a golden era of Wales. I think it's had some phenomenal players at that time, but Bale absolutely carried us there.
I mean, that as well would put him, I think, clear of anyone as a right winger because what he's done. I mean, there was that game to qualify for the World Cup 2022, the free kick against Ukraine. There was a goal against, I think it was Austria in qualifying, where he also scored a free kick. That was, I think, even better.
He scored against England, didn't he? He scored a free kick against England?
Yes, scored in the one where Sturridge scored last minute. I scored one of the two best goals I've seen in person, where he ran half length the pitch against Iceland in Cardiff and scored that. I think just from what he's done for Wales, as well as I think maybe he is a clear best in terms of that element. but yeah, just I can't thank him enough, and I don't think we'll ever get a better moment in that tournament. I mean, just the memories of that 2016, the game against Belgium especially, and he didn't even score in that game, but he was just such a I can't speak high enough for Bale. I really can't, and he is quite rightly a legend in Wales. I think
Yeah.
I think there's no one. I think there's no other sportsman in Wales that's done more than Bale. I don't think. I mean, Giggs from a club level, you could argue he's up there with Bale, but even Bale, 5 Champions Leagues. Although I think one of them was maybe not really down to him. But there's obviously the goal against Liverpool, the bicycle kick, scoring 2 goals in the final. There's a goal in the El Clasico, the Copa del Rey final, where he goes off the pitch and goes back in. The Tottenham season, twice Player of the Year in the Premier League, just unbelievable. And for what he's done for international level, scored their only goal at the World Cup 4 years ago. For me, he is. I'm so glad we got him in. I'm so glad we got him in. That leaves striker.
Okay.
Who you said you had a few strikers up your sleeve. Who are you kind of thinking of?
I'll start with the old school. Like I say, I've got a long list. I'll come into some in the more modern day shortly. But in the old school, I've got 2 names from like the 50s, 60s. One of actually, they're both Real Madrid legends. I was going to say one Real Madrid legend, but they're actually both Real Madrid legends. Alfredo Di Stefano, and one of my all-time favorite players as a follower of the Hungarian national team is Ferenc Puskás.
Yeah, I mean, the Puskás Award's named after him. Di Stefano's got an incredible goal record. Like, I think he's part of that early Madrid team that I think won 5 Champions Leagues early on in this kind of the tournament's history. I think they did. I think Puskás quite a lot. I think did Hungary get to a semi-final in a World Cup or even a final? Was it?
Yeah, quite possibly. Did they lose it? I can't remember. Yeah, it would have been the 1950s. That was their like golden era of the 50s. I remember they beat England. I think it was like 6-3 or something in some mad game back then. But yeah, that whole team, like there was a couple of them. Obviously, again, like talking about players carrying that country. Puskás definitely done that. But there was also a couple of other players. I can't remember that other guy's name, but there was another guy that scored a ton of goals in that same era, and there was another couple of good players in that team. So they were a very, very good team, not just carried by Puskás, but a very, very solid team. But yeah, he was the main man, and his goal to game ratio is one of the best in history.
Absolutely. I mean, other players. I mean, I mentioned Van Basten before. He's someone like that. I think for anyone who who's obviously of our age or younger, if you go and watch his highlights, unbelievable. Like that is a player. I remember I didn't see him play. I remember watching his YouTube highlights a few years ago and just being blown away with his talent. And a guy that, again, like players you mentioned before, had injury problems. I think his career was cut short a bit by injury. There's, of course, the iconic goal in the Euros. And then there's a guy who I don't think he's got the same talent, but still very good player, Zlatan.
I was going to mention Zlatan, yeah.
I've got a feeling
you've got the Sweden shirt in the background there. Yeah, you've got to see the Sweden shirt.
Right.
I'm not gonna bring up the Rat Isak and certainly not Viktor Gyökeres. But yeah, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, yeah, absolutely incredible footballer. I love Ibrahimovic. Just like, again, his character, like at Gaza, like just mad, just an absolute wild person. But even like it reflected how he played on the field as well. Even like when you look back at some of his goals, like the acrobatics and stuff, like he was just as wild on the field as he was off the field. Like the overhead kick that he scored against England, he was just a joy to watch. Like even when he came to the Premier League, like when he went to Man United, everyone was writing him off because he was like 34 or something like that at the time. Everyone's like, he's past his best, but he still had that one incredible season with Man United, like scoring incredible, weird, acrobatic goals, and yeah, he's just an absolute joy to watch. I love Zlatan.
I hate the fact they play for Man U because I would love to own a Zlatan shirt. I would love it. I love watching him play, but I just can't have a Man U player on back. The other guy I thought of, and he had obviously a big impact for the wrong reasons on 2 occasions in the World Cup. Luis Suarez.
I thought his name might come up.
Yeah, I mean he's someone that I think was the second best of that MSN trio. I do, and obviously Neymar, someone we could also mention in this. This team as well. Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney's one we could mention as well. Rooney, one of the best strikers of all time, you could argue. I struggle to think of others. There's probably someone I've completely missed out here, but I struggle to think of other strikers we could mention because most of the great strikers I can think of,
I've got a few.
Have won one. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a few, and one of them you'll kick yourself. A Liverpool player that won a Ballon d'Or.
Oh no, Ballon d'Or. Oh, Michael Owen.
Michael Owen, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
I
Michael
mean,
Owen. Yeah, like in his day, like in 1998, when he was what was he, about 18 years old, like he was a freak. It's just a shame what injuries happened to his career, because that young Owen of 18 to 21, he was a different gravy. Him, the speed, the goals, everything. He was world class. I think he's probably world class too early. It's just a shame that I think he played too many games, and just injuries got the better of him. But yeah, Owen and Suarez. I've got a long list. I can go through some. I'm going to throw another Ballon d'Or winner at you in George Weah.
George Weah. Yeah,
So,
I mean, some player he was. I mean, again before our time, but yeah, I mean, I think was he the first African to win Ballon d'Or? Is that right?
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah. So yeah, hell of a player.
Yeah. So I've got a few other names, quite a few. Some of these are either like wingers or tens, but most of them are number 9. So obviously there's quite a few Dutch. So starting with Van Persie and Van Nistelrooy, George Weah, Lewandowski, Suarez, Owen, Gary Lineker, Dennis Bergkamp, Arjen Robben, Patrick Kluivert. You mentioned Neymar. There was also Adriano and Robinho. Gabriel Batistuta, George Best, Roberto Baggio, and Karim Benzema, I think, are the only ones that I've got listed down that we haven't already mentioned, alongside Ronaldo, Bale, Van Basten, Puskas, Di Stefano, Ibra. So yeah, that's my list.
There's only one guy I think you might have forgotten. Samuel Eto'o is the only one I want to.
Alan Shearer.
Alan Shearer, yeah. Like, how could you forget? Oh. I mean, to be fair, the way he's going, Erling Haaland could be in that consideration. I think Norway will lose to England, but I think it wouldn't shock me if they go to the final either. I think Haaland, sort of, in terms of putting a team on their back, we mentioned that before. I mean, he is someone that I think is, is just doing some great stuff in the World Cup. It's that Brazil game, just
Yeah, he's a freak. He's an absolute
And also, I think he's got one hell of a personality. I as a person, I love Haaland. I think he's funny. I like his YouTube channel as well. I think he's a great character for the game. Now we've got to try and whittle down these strikers. Where do you start? Because Lewandowski is a great child. He's one of the best strikers of the last 20 years. Look at his goal record, what he's won at club level, and what he's done. Yeah, he's got to be up there as well. I mean,
Lewandowski is a great. Yeah, Lewandowski. Obviously Suarez and Owen, Gary Lineker. Yeah, I think Ibra. Maybe it's George Best. You could put George Best up top. Or the old schools like Puskas and Stefano. And I mean, I could absolutely bang the drum for Alan Shearer, Premier League's all-time goal scorer. Harry Kane. Wayne Rooney.
Kane, yeah. Okay.
Tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. Let's try it. We'll put one person forward each and see whether anyone has is happy to concede. I'll let you go first.
You got Van Dijk in, so I'm going Shearer.
All right. Okay. Oh. I think I want to put Van Basten in. That's my pick. But then the Ibra one's great. The Lewandowski one, that's really Lewandowski. That could be the answer. Lewandowski.
Yeah.
Because I think Van Basten is unfortunately a player who had his career cut short by injury, but not down to his own doing, unlike Best. So it's that. I don't know. I'm stuck. I'm really stuck with one. I really don't know. I don't know where I go with this one.
Yeah, I can quite easily fight for Puskas. To be fair, get one of the old schools in, because most of the ones that we've picked up sort of like 80s onwards. We haven't really got any of the old schools ones in. Like we're passed on. Levin.
Let's do that. Let's get him in, because I think you're right. If you want to do an all-time team, We've only got one. Well, we've got Schmeichel and Maldini, but we've got Cruyff, of course.
Oh,
But
Cruyff, yeah.
Let's get him in. Let's get Puskas in. Let's get an old timer in. And there we are. That is our team. We've got Schmeichel in goal. We've got a back four of Dani Alves, Virgil van Dijk, Paolo Maldini, and Ashley Cole. Our midfield three is Roy Keane, Luka Modric, and Johan Cruyff. And our front three is Gareth Bale, Ferenc Puskas, and Cristiano Ronaldo in our best ever starting 11 to never win a World Cup. And there we are. We haven't put the social graphics of our best team of all time in the World Cup. We will also put this one in the same post. Do let us know in the comments your thoughts on the team. Is there any player in this episode, if you are watching on YouTube, any players we've not even talked about that we should have mentioned? And let us know your thoughts on our team. Now, Keg, before we do let you go, I want to ask you a few thoughts on this current tournament, the current 2026 tournament. What your thoughts been on it? Because for me personally, I kind of think it might be the best World Cup I've watched, but at the same time, there's been the stuff about Balogun. There's been refereeing in that game against Argentina, Egypt. How have you found the tournament in terms of as an overall product?
I don't know. I mean, I think for me, I wouldn't say it's the best one I've ever watched, but I couldn't really tell you which one it is. Like, I've never really thought that much about it, to be fair. In past tournaments that I've watched, I've never really thought like, oh, this is phenomenal. But yeah, I just think there has been like a lot of mixed things with this. Partly, I mean, time zones, as obviously fans of American sports, like we're used to watching late games, whether it be the NFL or basketball or whatever it is. Like I don't mind staying up late to watch a sports game. Not a problem with me. I've been doing it for years. But yeah, I know it hasn't really been. Like, I think when it's England, like you want to go out, like you want to like celebrate with your friends and stuff. And that like 2 a.m. game the other day, I know it was scheduled for 1 a.m., but because of the weather, it was pushed back to 2. Yeah, it's just a bit unsociable, innit? But yeah, I think one thing that I've not really enjoyed is them like extending it. And I get the reasons why. And on paper, it should be a good thing. But I think the one thing that I've come to figure out, especially in the earlier days, I think the group stage was a bit boring for the most part. I'm really enjoying it now. Like now we're in the knockout stages. I'm really, really enjoying it. But because they extended the teams, like realistically, there's only like a dozen really, really good teams in the world. Like, yeah, obviously, like, yeah, England, Spain, Germany, Italy, France, Brazil, Argentina. They're your kind of typical go-tos. You've got some decent teams like Belgium and whatnot. But after that, everyone's just average, if not below average. And like I think all the extending the World Cup too is just adding lesser teams. You've obviously got like the glory, like the incredible story, and that's why like you want these kind of stories with Cape Verde. Like Cape Verde aren't on paper a very good team, but they've lived the dream. They've done better than anyone. It's amazing. But then you got like your Curacao and who else? Like Iran and I don't even know who else has been in there. But yeah, I think it's just opened the door to lesser teams, and what that means is in like the group stage, there's just more games that you just don't care about. Like just poor team versus poor team, and the good games or the good teams at least aren't as frequent. Like sometimes there's a cluster of days where you're not really watching a very good game. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy the group stage, but now we're down to the last 8 now. But from like the last 16, I've been really enjoying the games. There's been some really good, entertaining games. And again, as American sports fans, we can bang the drum for America and American sports. But yeah, I think Donald Trump's been over involved and yeah, like calling up FIFA to try and get Balogun's red card rescinded. It's just ridiculous. It's too political. Yeah, I think there's been some problems with like crime and like England's bus getting raided, like having all that stuff taken. Apparently, there's been like shoots, like shooting attacks in like fan zones and things like that. So yeah, I think there's just been a lot of negativity and a lot of bad things about it. So yeah, it certainly hasn't been my favorite World Cup of all time. But like I said, now we're getting down to the nitty gritty of it. It's getting exciting, and I'm enjoying what we're seeing now.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, for me, the thing that I kind of think of why I could view it as that is because all the stars have turned up in this tournament, which hasn't happened in my lifetime. You know, you think about Messi and Mbappe. There's the kind of the the race for Golden Boot, but also the race to beat closest record. They've both broken it in the same tournament. I thought we've seen some. I think the Cape Verde story's made it great. There's been I think there's been some giant killings. Been Uruguay going out in the group stage, but I'm also aware that there's been the teams like Jordan, for example, Iraq, Saudi Arabia having turned up, Qatar. Actually, Qatar wouldn't as bad, but the thing for me that I think a bit like the Vuvuzelas in 2010 is the hydration breaks. That's the one thing that But I will say at the same time that I think has allowed players to be fresher and perform better. I think that's played a part in the reasons why the big names have turned up. Because I think that I didn't watch much of the World Cup last time for many reasons. One being obvious, and then one being the fact that I was traveling at the time. 2018 might be that best one I've watched. 2014 was good. My least favourite by far was 2010. I thought the quality of football was shocking if you take away David Forlan. And then 2006 might be the best because of the kind of quality of goals and the way it ended with that Zidane headbutt. But I really enjoyed it. I think I've not minded the time zones because when it's been in work, it's been hard to watch it. But I've kind of watched the late games on the way to work in the morning. So I've enjoyed it. But I do think I had a lot of stronger views on it being the best before the Balogun stuff happened and that Egypt game was disgraced. That game, I couldn't believe. I mean, I was actually at a concert at the time, so I didn't actually watch it. I watched the first half before going to the Luke Coombs concert. But when I saw the highlights, I couldn't believe the refereeing. There's a video of Infantino, kind of his reaction when he was 2-0 down, and it does make you wonder where it might just be complete just by chance. But we see all the time in the Premier League saying Man City have got it rigged, or Arsenal or other teams. But it just feels a bit iffy for me. That before that happened, I was definitely when the morning after the Cape Verde game against Argentina, I was kind of in the view of, okay, this might be the best of all time. But then since then, what's happened since, I've kind of maybe viewed 2006 as the best one. Moving on, though, for your favourite goal of the tournament, or maybe the best goal, whichever you'd rather do it by.
It is a shame that Egypt's goal the other day got ruled out because that was a really, really good goal. I enjoyed seeing that goal. I don't know, in terms of favourite goal, I'd have to look it up. I'm not really sure off the top of my head what my favourite goal's been. I'm not sure. What's yours been?
I mean, one that I had kind of as the best goal more than favourite. My favourite goal probably won by Mbappe because I love watching Mbappe. But I think the goal of the tournament for me is the Sidney Lopez Cabral for Cape Verde against Argentina. The one in extra time.
Yeah.
Just for the kind of the goal it was, but also the kind of the context
who it was as well.
Yeah, and like the reigning champions, Messi playing for them, and then there's this team who it would have been on paper the biggest shock of all time since the world rankings. Probably just even without that, probably the biggest shock anyway. I think that for me is the goal of the tournament. I can't really think of any other that have been anywhere close. I mean,
France's first game, Mbappe scored a long-range goal, like in the dying seconds. But I feel like the keeper could have done better with that one, though. You will say that it was a great goal by Mbappe, but when you look at the goalkeeper, I feel like he could have done better there. He didn't have the strongest of hand. But before that, there was a couple of really good goals. I think it was maybe in Mbappe's first goal. It was a pass, I think, by Rabiot. Like I think the passing in that game, like the passing's made it, because the first one, I think Elise made a pass to Mbappe or whoever it was. Who made the pass? Oh, because Barcola scored, didn't he? I can't remember who made the pass, but I think Elise got one assist and Rabiot got the other. Like both passes were incredible passes, and I think the Barcola one. Actually, I prefer that one, to be fair. Yeah, Barcola's goal I think was better than Mbappe's because he got the little dink. But I think it was Rabiot's pass. Rabiot's like defense splitting pass was absolutely delightful to watch, and then the finish was incredible as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that team's an absolute joke. What for you's been your favourite or best game of the tournament? Has there been like a particular game that stood out for you as like, as being like a standout one?
Well, I think we just mentioned some there. I think that first France game was really good. That was quite an entertaining game. I think obviously the Norway and Brazil game was pretty good. But I think that's two kind of standout games for me. And on one hand, I want to say Actually, no. Yeah, there's another one. So yeah, Argentina's last two games, the Cape Verde game was incredible. Obviously, because it was almost a David and Goliath, like giant killing, like Cape Verde, the underdog team, already having like the magical story, a late goal and an incredible goal against Messi's Argentina. So yeah, that was an amazing game. And then Argentina's next game, again, almost a giant killing. Like I know they've got a couple of decent players led by Mo Salah, but yeah, you would have expected Argentina to absolutely wipe the floor with them. And then to be 2-0 down, as well as having a great goal disallowed for then the late comeback. That was an incredible game. But I think my favorite game, like honestly, one of my favorite games that I've watched in a long, long time was England's game against Mexico. I thought it was incredible, and I'm really glad that I stayed up for it. I did stay up. I had an alarm set. Then I had it set for like 20 minutes earlier. Then I seen it was delayed another hour, so I just snoozed it for an hour. Went back to sleep. Then got up, had some snacks, had some chips and dip, a couple of beers, and I just think the game was just a great game for football. Obviously, being an England fan and seeing we win the game in the end, but it wasn't easy. Mexico didn't make it easy. It was quite feisty. Obviously, that's what you get from like the Mexicans and the South Americans. Like all the games have been a little bit feisty with the South Americans. They always know how to ruffle some feathers, and yeah, just had a lot of entertainment. There was obviously Kwanzaa's red card. I think Nico O'Reilly could have got sent off with his elbow as well. A couple of really good goals. Bellingham's quick succession 2 goals. Dan Burns' defensive masterclass. I think Jordan Pickford made a couple of great saves. It was quite funny that Jordan Henderson didn't even play the game yet, got a yellow card and stretched it off. That's got to be a World Cup first.
Yeah.
That's a funny story. But yeah, I just thought that game had everything. That was an amazing game. So yeah, I think either one of those 3 games, Argentina's last 2 games, and England, Mexico, were phenomenal.
I mean, yeah, one hell of a game, and I love a feisty game. I've always said that I think one of the best ever Premier League games of all time was a 0-0 Arsenal Man U in the Invincible season when Van Nistelrooy missed a penalty and there was all the scrapping. Vieira sent off, doing that. Yeah, it's. I love a game with a bit of an edge. I like it when it's like that. And I was actually at a day festival in Blackpool the night of England Mexico, and there was so many people in the crowd wearing England shirts. That's got to be one of the best ways to prepare for an England game is to go watch Pitbull and a Little John and a rave in a day festival in Blackpool. Yeah, that was I reckon that would have been amazing. If I was an England fan, I would have definitely loved that. But my game I want to put forward is Portugal-Croatia, which Portugal won in the last 94th minute. It was there was 2 legends of the game. One of them was going to be the last ever game in the World Cup. Modric, we mentioned, both of them in our starting 11s, in Modric and Ronaldo. There was a whole thing of, Ronaldo scored, got disallowed. Great finish, by the way. And then he gets taken off. Martinez finally has the bollocks to take him off. And then the guy who replaced him scores a 94th minute winner. But then going on further than that, you had Vardiol scoring the last minute. You see Ronaldo's face and all that, and then it gets disallowed for controversial reasons. I thought it was a really, really good game, especially second half and extra time. Added time. I thought it was an incredible second half, and I thought that for me was just for the context of being 2 legends bowing out. Well, one of them was bowing out in that game, but ex-teammates, the kind of the way the game went down, late drama and extra time, added time. For me personally, that's my favourite game. England-Mexico might be the best game of the tournament, or even Argentina-Cape Verde, especially if they'd won Cape Verde. But I love Portugal-Croatia. I thought that was a really, really good game.
Yeah, I liked Brazil and Norway, as I mentioned before, because that was a really good game. Haaland, again, like another player who's kind of carrying his team, although Norway have got some good players, which England will find out on Saturday, like Odegaard and a few other good players. But Brazil and Brazil's history with the World Cup, you would have expected Brazil to win. Like Norway's little team, it's the first time they've ever got to a World Cup quarterfinal. Excluding Haaland, you would have expected Brazil to win quite comfortably. But then Haaland with a massive towering header, jumping over Gabriel Margulies, and then a long-range strike off the edge of the box into the bottom corner. And then that game was a bit feisty as well. Like I mentioned, the South Americans, like there was a bit of pushing and shoving and a bit of handbags at the end. It was a bit feisty. Some people getting quite aggressive. Bruno Guimaraes missed a penalty. and then Neymar scored a penalty at the end, so it was a lot of drama. And yeah, that was a really good game. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that was a hell of a game. I remember I'd been to that day festival the day before as well, and we had the signal, so I had no idea what the score was. Turn on ITV1+1, and it was literally a minute before Haaland scored the first goal. Talk about timing. That was like, I couldn't believe it. Like, turn on, I not missed a goal, and then a minute later, I see Haaland scored that goal. That was incredible. Finally, before we let you go, who do you predict is going to win the tournament, and who are they going to beat in the final?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'd probably go with France. I just think they've just got so many good players, particularly in the attacking midfield. I haven't, like, coming into the tournament, I thought they'd be a bit suspect at the back. And to be fair, I think they are, but they're good enough. The defense isn't bad enough to lose a game for them. They're doing that job. Yeah, their attacking options are incredible. Like, even off the bench, like Barcola's not starting every game, but you got Dembele, a Ballon d'Or winner there. Elise's gone from Crystal Palace to world class. Like, his rise has been absolutely mental. I absolutely love Elise, and obviously Mbappe as well. Like, they're a great team. And Desiree Doué. Who else? A list could go on. I don't even know who else there is, but I'm sure that's not it. So yeah, I'm going to take France to win, and against, I think it could be either Argentina or England, to be honest with you. I think England could potentially go all the way. Like, so we've got Norway in the next game, which is obviously going to be tough. Obviously, they've put Brazil out. Just got to try and contain Haaland. Dan Burn might be the answer. Get Dan Burn onto man mark Haaland, and that could be it. But if we got through to the semi-final, I could say we're playing Argentina. But look at what Argentina's done. Like, they almost got beat off Cape Verde. They almost got beat off Egypt. They're just being carried by a 39-year-old. So again, if you kind of quieten that one-star player, like what we could potentially do with Haaland, then England could get to the final. I know it's a big, tall ask, but I don't think it's unrealistic. So yeah, I think it'll either be Argentina or England in the final. But regardless of who it is, I can see France being the winners.
Yeah, fair. I'm the same as you. I've got France winning. I had it at the start of the tournament. I just think that team is so good. But also, some players have won it before. But also, Mbappe just in World Cup is just like
it turns it on.
And then I would love to say they play Norway or Switzerland. I would love to see them. Well, there'll be a worse final. I just don't want Argentina making it, just because I do think the refereeing has been a bit iffy regarding their games. And I also they won it most recently. I don't like the same team winning it again.
Yeah, same, yeah.
If they're not my team, so I think it will be Argentina, France again. I just think Messi, I think, is playing better than he did 4 years ago. I think obviously they already now know how to win it, unlike last tournament. So yeah, I think it'll be a repeat of last time. But I think this time, I think France will have the edge. But there we are. That is the end of our episode, our best ever World Cup non-winners starting 11. So, Keg, first of all, thank you for coming on.
Not a problem, mate. Anytime you know me, anytime I get the call, I'll be free for you, my friend, anytime at all.
Absolutely. And I love having you on once again. And we will be getting you on in the summer for our Panthers season preview. So stay tuned for that in the summer if you are a follower of the NFL or my podcast. And talking of podcasts and channels, you of course are well known for your time on the Magpie channel, and you recently had a billboard of the podcast. So tell the audience, if they aren't aware of who you are, where they can find the channel and what we can look forward to in the next few months on the channel.
Yeah, so if you're a football fan, or more specifically a Newcastle fan, I am a part of the Magpie channel, which is a Newcastle United fan-based. Do social media as well. I think we're about 50,000 subs just over on YouTube, and probably about the same for subscribers on or followers on Instagram, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. We're around about 50,000 on each of those. We've won awards in the past at the Football Content Awards. So yeah, we're an award-winning channel, but yeah, do focus mainly on Newcastle. Do England content as well, as me and Matty, who run the channel, are both England fans, of course. So yeah, over the coming weeks and months, obviously it's transfer time. This is like the busiest time of the year. A lot of people will say to Matty, like, "Oh, you must love the summer. You must love having a little bit of a break." Like, transfer time is the busiest time. like the season being ended doesn't change anything. Like transfer the rumor mills. This is where you make the majority of your money. This is where the content comes from. Like people are engaged. Everyone wants to know about the transfer rumors. So yeah, there's a lot of content, daily content on say all social media platforms and YouTube every day, if not multiple times a day, if there's something juicy to talk about. And then for myself, I've run the Panthers Magpie, which is solely on social media at the minute, just Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So go and follow that for any of your Carolina Panthers needs. And you'll see my face again on Andy's channel on Across the Pod in about a month or so.
Absolutely. And we will put a link in the description of this episode where you can click on the link and subscribe to Keg's work on the Magpie channel, but also the Panthers Magpie. But in the meantime, this has been episode 3 of our starting lineups series or show. I have been, as ever, your host today in Andy Davis, and our guest today in Keg. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.